And at this time, we've been hearing from some members of the congregation throughout our stewardship campaign, Blessing Future Generations. And at this point, I would love to invite forward Lou DiCRISCIO, who's going to speak for us today and share some inspiring words, I'm sure. I just ask that you come to the microphone.
Morning, everyone. So first, I hate public speaking, but I really like this church a lot, so that sort of trumps the first comment. The second thing is I'll probably be reading most of this, because even though there are only a few of you there, I don't want to make too much eye contact, because it'll really make me even more nervous than I am. And I'll also say I did not confer with Pastor Kat one bit prior to today, nor did I know that the reading was going to be from Jeremiah. So maybe there was a little guiding hand or whisper in my ear when I wrote some of this stuff. So Nova and I came to Zion about 10 years ago after we brought Jade into our home. We knew from experience that Jade was going to have a much better understanding of life with God as a part of it. You can keep that in mind as I read the rest of this. Pastor Katz emailed to me, asked if I would speak about the stewardship campaign for this year called Blessing Future Generations. Blessing Future Generations. So let's break that apart a little bit. First is stewardship. So what does that mean? Merriam-Webster, yes, there are still paper dictionaries out there and I use one, says it's the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. The careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. Sounds serious and important. So what are we stewarding exactly? It could be something physical, like this tremendous and significant historic church. I've watched gleefully as folks like Harold and the property committee have maintained and even improved this building so that perhaps in another 300 years, yes, another 300 years, people might be able to enjoy its simple beauty and feel the spirit and presence of all those that came before them that sat in this dwelling. In that aspect, we are like caretakers of a beautiful plant or tree that has been passed down from family member to family member for generations, and no one wants the plant to wilt, disease, or gasp, even die on their watch. This year's campaign seeks something a little different, blessing future generations. Let's face it, the last 3 or 4 decades have not been easy on churches. Membership at churches is down. Those entering seminaries are dwindling in number. Recently, the lockdowns of 20 and 21 seem to be almost purpose-built to finally crush places like this one. The sound of our future in this church and in all churches, kids' voices, our very next future generation, seems to be getting quieter and quieter every year. Perhaps that plant or flower we have been charged with caretaking is suffering from a lack of fertilizer, or worse yet, succumbed to some little mite that is slowly sapping the life out of it. But fear not, all is not lost, for we here today have total control of the future. We, the collective caretakers of the next generation, have everything we need to not only fertilize that generation, but to make sure it's as healthy as it's ever been. And by healthy, I mean knowing Jesus and leading his life, because let's face it, a world without an understanding and belief in God is not a pleasant place. I recently started taping a piece of paper up on the refrigerator door every Monday morning with a weekly quote on it, talking through it with Jade to see if she would understand it or gain some insight from it. The quotes range from the Bible to famous philosophers, historic figures, and even Rocky Balboa. Yes, even Rocky had a few lines of wisdom. I thought I'd quickly go through 5 of them to see if we can gain some wisdom about caretaking for the next generation of this church. First quote is the one from Rocky. No, I'm not going to do my Rocky impersonation, although my daughter will tell you I sound plenty Philly enough in my plain speech and in the non-church words I sometimes use. So Rocky said, "It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. So let's forget about the hits the church has taken in recent history. Are you going to get up and respond or lay there on the COVID lockdown mat? We are at an inflection point, but are we turning upward or downward? Remember, our first future generation, the kids in our midst, are watching us and learn by mimicking what we do. Will you let them watch you lay on the mat or get up and keep moving forward? Second quote is from a Chinese philosopher who lived about 500 BC. His name was Lao Tzu. And everybody knows this quote. You just may not have known where it came from. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So this stewardship season, think about taking that step to help and secure our future generations. What fertilizer or water will you bring with that step to nourish the next generation? Will it be a monetary step? Will it be a giving of time and talent step? It doesn't matter. You just need to make that step. Third quote is from one of my favorite historic American figures, Ben Franklin. He was a wise old man. Ben said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." When it comes to our next generation, things like Sunday school, vacation Bible school, service trips that the older kids make, and events like Feed My Starving Children are vitally important, not just because they are teaching moments, but because they are involvement moments that allow learning by action. All of those things cost something and require resources, but the bigger cost will occur if we lose those involvement moments. The fourth quote is actually from the Bible. I figured I had to throw one of those in here. And again, you all know this quote. It's from, or have heard it at some point, it's from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 29. "For from there you will seek the Lord your God, and if you search for him with all your heart and soul, you will find him." I don't know about you, but if you're waiting up every night to see God on your Ring doorbell cam knocking on your door one night at 2 a.m., you're probably going to have a lot of sleepless nights. But by being here at Zion, my family found out God is pretty easy to find if we just open our eyes to the special people we have around us. I see God in people like Melanie, Sandy, Jeff, and all the teachers when they tend to our future flock tirelessly year after year at Sunday school and confirmation class. I see God in Rod and the music he brings to the church and the way he involves kids in special services. I see God when I read about the Faith Kitchen crew in the church news helping to feed those that have less than us. I see God a lot in the people of Zion. The last quote is from a very odd place. It's from the tombstone of John Wayne. Most of you, I think, know who John Wayne was in the past. This saying that was on his tombstone came from an interview he gave earlier in his life. It says, "Tomorrow is the most important thing. It comes into us at midnight very clean. It's perfect when it arrives, and it puts itself in our hands. It hopes we've learned something from yesterday." In our situation, I think that tomorrow are the kids in our lives. They do come to us perfect and put themselves in our hands. How will we handle them? Will we show them God and teach them values that have served us well? The future is in our hands. From the moment we joined Zion 10 years ago, we knew it was a special place. I think it deserves the fertilizer and water and care that it needs so that another 10 generations can experience that as well. I hope you do too when you're thinking about your commitments to the church this stewardship campaign season. Thank you, and as a reminder, please don't make eye contact with me as I walk back to my seat.